Well, hello, everyone. This is Rudrani Dady, your host for the Get Happy podcast. I am thrilled and delighted to have you here today. And my special guest, I'm even more thrilled and delighted about, Dr. Andi Harper. Hey, Dr. Andi, let's do this. How are you doing?
I'm doing awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
Thrilled and delighted we are. So, could you tell those that are listening now or maybe in the future a little bit about you, what you do?
Well, I have the pleasure of playing with dogs all day long. I actually went to chiropractic school for people way back in the day, and finished that and was like, oh, I can't do this. So I'm actually a certified animal chiropractor by day. And I am a certified facilitator with Access Consciousness, well, pretty much all day and by night. So my two favorite loves, consciousness and animals. How's it get even better?
I didn't know that dogs could have chiropractors.
They have muscles and bones and joints.
Do you work on cats as well?
I have, yeah. And
oh
horses.
Goddess. Pepita, if we only lived closer. If we only lived closer. My puss is passed out. I just gave her some wet foods and she's full belly and very happy.
Digesting.
Well, that is wonderful. So you get to play with pets and you get to play with people. So what do you do with Access then? Do you have particular classes or things that you're getting into?
Well, I do have my own podcast called Dr. Andi's World. I have my website, drandisworld.com. Facebook, we do a weekly Facebook live chat and we talk about what's up in my world, what's up in people's worlds with their pets. And we look a lot at what energy are you being that is creating what's going on with your pet. Because there's this back and forth in that relationship. And we think, where people think that generally there's just something wrong with my animal, instead of, okay, what am I being here and what can I be differently that would change things, whatever that may be.
Ah, so you're like Dr. Doolittle.
Maybe on occasion, just a little bit.
I love it. Well, I will say this. I definitely communicate with my cat. She's so smart. She actually knows certain words, but she'll send me pictures and I send her pictures. And,
but that's also you being the space and allowing for that. Oh. And just knowing that's the information you're getting from her. Everyone else generally poo-poos what they are getting from their animal, or they don't think that's what it is, or it has to be this because that's what it should be. I
love it. Well, it is interesting. She's my alarm clock. She wakes me up scratching at the door. We don't sleep together. So she scratches at the door. It's usually, sometimes it's 2:00 in the morning and that's bad. But if I give her a couple of treats, I go right back to bed. But it's usually around 5:00. Okay. And then that's our us time where I go and lay on the couch and close my eyes. And it's very interesting. She sits on me and her purring puts me to sleep. And I have some of the deepest sleep with my cat. I know that sounds so weird.
What a contribution. That's such a contribution. Probably for both of you, right?
Yeah. And it makes us both happy. At least I'd like to believe it makes her happy.
Well, it's a cat. If it didn't, she isn't going to do it.
True story. You're pointing out that awareness to me. So, Dr. Andi, how do you get your happy on? I mean, was there ever a time when...
Well, most of my life was not happy, I gotta say. The household I grew up in was not exactly joyful. I don't think we ever talked about being happy. We always talked about what had to be done, what was expected of me. And I followed it to a T. I went to college. I went to graduate school. I became a doctor. I was the good little girl. I found a guy. I was in a relationship. I started my animal chiropractic practice. And I was, I don't know if we can swear, fucking miserable.
Oh, wow.
And I could not.
Tell me how you really feel.
I know, right? And I could not figure out, if I did everything right, why wasn't I happy? Like, why did I hate everything that I thought I was doing right, perfect, and correct?
Interesting. And so what did you surmise after asking that question?
Well, I didn't surmise anything. Access showed up in my life because I wasn't getting any answer on that. I just plodded ahead. And also, I now had a practice and I had all these other people with all of their quote unquote problems that I had no tools to handle. And so I was lucky enough. I must have asked the universe a question there somewhere that I was unaware of. And I was invited to talk to the animals class with Susie Godsey
Oh, I
about
love it.
9 years ago, 10 years ago. And I went. I was supposed to meet another client there. She never showed up. I sat in the middle of, I drove across town from where I lived. It was snowing. I'm like, and I guess I had enough going on at that point where I'm like, there must be something here for me, because I would not be driving in the dark across town in the snow if there wasn't something here, whatever that was. And I get there and I sit in the middle of the room and I'm like, okay, what is going on? And this cute little German woman gets up there and she's talking about animals and she's podpocking stuff. And I'm like, I don't know what that is. It was awesome. But it was the very first time I heard energy. Animals' language is energy. And it may not be always pictures. And it may not be this. And it may not be that. What is it for you? And I'm like, oh, okay. So I'm not doing everything wrong. Okay, cool. And she said, and then she asked this question that blew my mind away. What do you know?
Wow.
And I think I literally looked around the room and went, I know stuff. I mean, 20 some odd years of school, nobody asked me what I knew. They wanted to know the right answer.
Right, correct, of course. What's correct and true as opposed to what you know.
Yes. What has been determined by a so-and-so, not what did I know about this. Mm-hmm. And those two things changed my world. I bought 2 books. I ran out. I read them the next day and I'm like, I found my people. But it just expanded so much for me. Like and I can't think of everything that I read in that book, but it was like, oh, all this stuff I made myself wrong for. I'm not wrong for this. Like, I do know things. I can communicate with animals in my own way, because I rarely get pictures, like you mentioned. I rarely get pictures. And sometimes I talk about them as being chatty. It's almost like I can convert words back and forth. I don't even know what I do. I don't even know what I do. I just know things. And finding other people and these tools changed all that. And it gave me tools on how to be with 30, 40, 50 people requiring me things from me every week. That's when I'm like, oh, maybe there is happy in the world. Maybe.
Funny.
And right?
Dare I say you might like animals more than people?
Oh yeah, that was easy. Yeah, I knew that. I mean, literally halfway through chiropractic school, I'm like, I do not care enough about these people. Like, I can't do this. I really don't. That's so and there's always a person on the end of that leash. So I don't get away from people.
Right. Well,
but having that animal there and having that communion in that visit or during the day or however you want to put that, creates my happy. And
love it.
Yeah.
Have you seen Gary Douglas, who is the founder of Access Consciousness? We had him to blame for all of our joy.
Yes, we do. We do.
Have you ever
Bad
seen
man.
him communicate? I know. Bad man. Have you ever seen him communicate with horses? It's just freaking unbelievable. Yeah. I remember seeing him being interviewed once, and he was, I don't know if he was on a bench or where it was, but he was outside, and one of his horses just kept nudging him over and over, and he would grin and he'd reach up and acknowledge them, and then he'd go back to doing the interview, and then the horse was just nudging. I mean, you could tell this animal truly adored Mr. Gary Douglas, and it was the sweetest thing. And I couldn't even hear what was being said anymore because I was so enamored by watching the communion between his pet horse, and him. It was just so freaking beautiful. So that was the beginning of creating your happiness?
That was the beginning. Huh. Yeah. Realizing I wasn't wrong for all those things I thought I was wrong for, whatever they be, and how I handled things. And, what if I didn't always have to be a good girl? Like, whoo! And it made me look back and go, okay, I didn't go into quote unquote regular chiropractic practice because I was following the energy. And that wasn't wrong. It was okay to play with the dogs and the horses, right?
Wow.
Like a lot of the tools and a lot of that space, just really, I guess it's more of a confidence with my happy, maybe some kind of energy there with it. And then I'm like, okay, now what else will make me happy? And since I've been playing with these tools for 9, 10 years, whatever it is, no, I really like working. I really like playing with the dogs. I really like sharing these tools. I really like, okay, yesterday I had a fun little dog, had a very big story on how traumatic and how abused she was. So we talked to mom about, okay, less on the story, more on you're here, you're fine, let's go. And as they were leaving, the puppy crouched down on the ground and wouldn't leave. So mom's like, it's okay, I'll carry you. This is a 50-pound dog. No, you are not carrying her. And she's a year old.
Oh, wow.
So I handed mom the leash. I made her, okay, let's go. And she's like, okay, let's go. And I'm like, no, stand up. Let's go. And the dog got up, big smile, and walked with mom. So that's being the energy, not buying into the story, not buying into what the dog was trying to get away with too.
Right.
Right?
That's true.
It was really funny. And
I have to remind her that I actually own her and it's not the other way around.
Well, she does own you. You just pay the bills.
Yeah.
So it's got to work for you too. And cats are a little different.
Yeah.
Cats definitely have a different energy to them.
Indeed. I'm so grateful for her though. She's my, especially now in these Corona times, unless you're watching this way, way past it and we're all able to hug each other and all again. But when this was recorded, we were going through this COVID-19 thing. And so she's basically my 24/7 companion.
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen my cat this much. And we've become so much closer. It's really quite interesting.
Awesome.
You know, so.
And they contribute so much.
Oh my God.
And in general, people tend to just not realize just what they contribute. Mm-hmm. They are not just dumb animals that eat our food and live in our house.
True.
They own us. They control us utterly. They contribute magnitudes if you are aware and willing to receive it.
That feels light to me.
And it makes me happy.
Right. Me too.
It made me so happy to see that dog walk with mom like they were going somewhere together in that energy. Well, and she actually walked out with this huge smile on her face. The dog did. Mom did. Well, mom may have, because again, she had a mask on. I couldn't tell. Well, but the dog had a big smile.
The dog didn't have a mask though.
No.
You could see the dog smiling.
Yes.
It's true though. They do want to please us. Mm-hmm. It's quite beautiful. I love my birds. I planted things in my yard that the Nature Conservatory told me would attract winged things.
Okay.
So birds, bees, hummingbirds, gorgeous, and butterflies, and it's amazing. And I've gotten to where I recognize a few of them, and I can walk right up to the glass where their feeders are, and they kind of side eye me. Oh, there she is again. Mm-hmm. And I have this fountain that has these little cups. It looks like little separate bird baths. It's like this Zen water fountain. Mm-hmm. And so I'll see them like certain times of the day. There'll be 4 or 5 different kinds of little birds, canaries and this type of thing, all bathing in these little cups. And it's just so amazing. And they're not afraid of me. I mean, it's like and I'll SOP some energy, which is, Dr. Dane here is a co-founder of Access Consciousness that has something called Symphony of Possibilities. And it's an energy you be with the earth and the planet and all of its nature and all the nature that lives, all the little animals that live in nature. And I send them energy, and it's to the point now where I can feel them receiving, and it's this reciprocal thing. And I even now, Dr. Andi, have a pet squirrel.
Aww.
I named him Baxter. I can't touch him, but I can get really close to him. And he's so sweet. I let him eat the bird seed. I figure if he's smart enough to figure out how to get it, even though he's not supposed to be able to, he found a way to hold it open and put his nose in, because their weight closes where they can't get the food. I was like, if you're smart enough to figure that out, by all means, have a snack.
Exactly, right? I don't know if anything is thoroughly squirrel proof.
No, probably
They're
not.
smart little critters.
Probably not. So if you were going to, I know you also do Access Consciousness and you have your podcast. What's your favorite tool that gets you happy on? Or one of your favorites?
One of my favorite, well, there's, tons and tons. One of
Right.
my favorites, and the one that I am using right now to death, is Who Does This Belong To?
Good point.
Again, like Rudrani mentioned, we are in the COVID times. We're actually coming up on 2020 election here in the US. And nothing that is going on actually belongs to you.
Mm-hmm.
Who does this belong to? I have had so many people with their animals come in the last few days. They're so worked up. We've regressed this week. We're over the top. I go, yes. And everybody needs to breathe and realize it's not yours. And what if they're also picking up what's going on the planet?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Who
What
does
are
this
you
belong
aware of?
to?
What are you
Yep.
aware? What do you know? This is the thing, y'all. Believe it or not, y'all, they're psychic people.
Mm-hmm.
You're like SpongeBob SquarePants soaking up everybody else's thoughts, feelings, and emotions. And you'd be amazed. Just asking that question, who does this belong to, lightens up your world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and
It's
even
like,
if you don't believe it, or this is hogwash or whatever, just ask the question. Try it for yourself and return it to sender, whatever it may be. And if you're having a day and you're worked up, what if it's not even yours?
mm-hmm.
Return to sender.
I remember Dr. Dane here telling a story about how he had it on a sticky note by his bed, and he woke up feeling cranky pants, and he was like, oh, damn, I had my bars on a couple days ago. Now I'm already feeling all this crap again. And all I did was look at the sticky note, and his mind registered, who does this belong to? And immediately he just melted. He was like, oh yeah, not mine. Of course, not mine. Return to sender. So.
And it's just not what this reality teaches you. You must be depressed. You must have anxiety. You must be worked up about whatever you're worked up about, and you own it and you buy it. And what if it's not even yours?
Right. Why are you so serious all the time?
Oh my goodness. Lately, I've been attempting to talk about having more fun, which is like almost taboo because everybody's so serious about everything that's going on.
It's interesting. I did a karaoke challenge, a 10-day karaoke challenge within the first 2 weeks of being shut down. Mm-hmm. And I had all these people asking me they were requesting songs. And so I would pick one that popped, if it felt light, I go, okay, I'll do this one. Some of these songs, you're like, I even did a Fog Hat song. I'm like, how am I doing Fog Hat? So, but it popped and it was fun. And I remember roller skating to I just want to make love to you, don't. So anyway, in the beginning, people were loving it. So then, I even remember doing Pharrell's Happy, and I got so many comments. But then I started like periodically popping one in, like the 10 days were up, people were still asking me to do it. So, once every other week or so, I would just pop on, do another one. And I noticed, less and less, because here I'm having a good time with it. I'm laughing, carrying on. And they're like,
I missed this.
Yeah, they're like, how dare you be happy? It's like, hey, y'all, I'm trapped in my house just like you. I'm just choosing something different, to focus my energy on. But anyway, well, this has been an amazing conversation. If people were, yes, you're delightful. And you guys, we haven't actually met in person, but because of COVID, the blessing of COVID, we're all on these CF feeds, certified facilitators. We're both Access Consciousness certified facilitators. And so we're all keeping up with each other. And it's been amazing. And I've met so many CFs that I don't think I would have maybe perhaps not met in the world, unless you happen to go to classes. Remember the days when we could
vaguely.
So I was traveling all over the world and meeting people. And that's how I would see a lot of my friends. And none of us, because a lot of my friends would live in other countries and this type of thing. But this has kind of been a blessing in a sense that I've made so many new friends, and that certainly got my happy on. So if people were going to look for you, how would they find you?
Website's a great place, drandysworld.com. Facebook is good, Dr. Andi Harper. It's my professional page. I do a live chat every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. I am in the Denver, Colorado, US area. And we talk about, all summer we were talking about superpowers and using your superpowers with your animals. And I always ask, how much fun can you have with your animals? No matter what's going on, if you add a little happy, you add a little fun, what can that change?
I love it. I love it. Well, I'm going to make sure those links are in the chat so people can find you. And you guys, if you like this conversation, hit the like button, or you know someone that would, this could be generative for, to have a listen, have a look-see, have a listen. Please share with them. I would certainly appreciate that. And until then, you guys, get your happy on.
Yeah. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you so much for being with us, Dr. Andi.
My pleasure. It was so much fun.
And thank you guys. Ciao for now. Mwah.